So get this, White House backs bipartisan bill that could be used to ban TikTok. Boy, that sounds awfully Chinese of us, doesn't it? Ironical. The new Restrict Act could mean 20 years in prison for using a VPN to access banned apps. Now, a VPN, I don't know what does it stand for? But it's that security thing that everybody should have.
You have to get it before you go to China because they have a great firewall to slow down the internet. So to bypass that, you have to get a VPN.
Oh, really?
That's when I first heard of them.
Oh,
now
okay.
you need them here also, by the way.
Actually, China's actually less strict about VPNs.
They're actually a lot less strict because every company needs them.
It stands for Virtual Private Network. That's what VPN stands for.
It's impossible to do international business without having a VPN. So China can't really crack down. What it is businesses have to get it approved by China. There may be a few people that are citizens that got in trouble, but I didn't find anything solid on that at all. They don't bother foreigners ever get it using a VPN. So this will be stricter than them, what they're proposing.
Yeah, so we're worse than China.
It's amazing.
Yeah. The new legislature proposes to give the U.S. Secretary authority to execute bans or exclusions on any, quote, information and communications technology products and services holdings that pose undue or unacceptable risk, with the unacceptable risks and exclusions to be determined and recommended by the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Secretary of Defense, or the Director of National Intelligence. So what this says is the government can do anything it wants at any time if it says it deems you a risk or your computer's a risk or you or anything. They can go in and do anything they want.
Well, it's big nothing burger.
They can ban, yeah. The bill allows any attempts to circumvent the exclusions or bans using a VPN or proxy to be punished with a fine of up to $1 million or up to 20 years in prison. So it's more severe. These penalties are more severe than penalties for child porn.
So then if you go on a VPN and access
child porn,
that's not even against the law.
That's not even against the law.
What's against the law is possessing or distributing.
Yeah.
So this is more strict than that.
So if they don't want you to go to a website and you still go to the web, that's what this is saying, Kurt. And you still go to that website, they can fine you $1 million and put you in prison.
Not only that, they don't even got to tell you. You'll get to it. It gets better. It's unbelievable. It's almost how YouTube doesn't have to tell you why they're banning you, really, or any of these companies.
And so let's say, okay. According to the bill, the processes and actions taken are exempt from the. So get this. So when they do this stuff, you can't request to see why they're doing it, the process, through a regular Freedom of Information Act. So if the government does something, you're supposed to find out. You're supposed to have a transparent government. That's what democracies are supposed to be about. And democracies don't run on trust. Democracies run on suspicion, which is why everything's supposed to be transparent. Okay? And now you won't be able to get any of the information. So when they start doing this to people, you won't be able to get any information about how they're doing it or why they're doing it or any of the background because it's exempt from Freedom of Information requests.
That means they can do whatever they want with not having to tell anyone.
This is government in the dark. This is dictatorship. Again, this is the stuff they warned us. They said that Trump was going to do. Trump didn't do it. Now they're doing it.
All these people we're on the verge of fascism in the upcoming election. We're on the verge of it right this second.
So it says here, this exemption could give the government alarming control over online interactions with little transparency. It could? What do you mean it could?
Yeah, right.
It could. I could see a situation where...
I mean, it's not like they're going to use it in a bad way, right?
When have they ever done that? So this is called the Restrict Act. It's good. Why? And they wouldn't call it something nice. right?
Yeah, right.
Like, why wouldn't they call it the Saving Democracy Act or
Yeah, right.
Saving You from Killers Act?
Because
They
don't
always
even
do
have
that.
to.
They don't even have to do it. Now they
Well,
just say,
You know what it is? That's where TikTok comes in because that's Chinese. So
Mhm.
that's why they're restricting China.
yeah, but the TikTok isn't even in the bill. They don't even mention TikTok. Did you know this?
No, I
So
didn't know that. I thought,
yes, the Restrict Act could theoretically be applied to everything from citizens, corporations, and organizations to labor unions. To be fair, the bill, I like how they put this. To be fair, what? To be fair, the bill does clarify that anyone prosecuted under the act must be engaging in activities and using technology to harm the U.S. government.
what?
To be fair, so anything the U.S. government says you're doing, that's not to be fair.
They just locked a guy up for posting a meme back in
to be-
2016.
So all the government has to do is say you're engaging in activities that we don't like, and that's that. It's because it harms us. So to be fair, who the fuck wrote this at Slash Gear?
Slash gear. To be fair, Guantanamo is still open.
To be fair, to be fair, they said they're not going to do anything bad unless you're doing something bad. To be fair, what kind of bullshit? To be fair,
This sounds like how you would justify if you lived in China and all the things that I'm not into they do. That's how they justify it.
and yes, anything that hurts the government. So you see what they said there? Anything that hurts the government, if you're going to be using technology to harm the U.S. government. So you mean like Julian Assange? You mean like telling the truth? That harms the U.S. government. So that would fall under this.
Not harming the people that live here.
No, but the U.S. government.
Yeah.
So this guy, Greg Price, says the bill to ban TikTok is absolutely terrifying. It gives the government the ability to go after anyone they deem as a national security risk, at which point they can then access everything from their computer to their video games to their Ring
The
doorbell thing.
Oh, that's the Amazon thing.
Yes.
That was already going to be a government form of spying.
So he says this is the Patriot Act for the internet. And then and they show you, this is the thing, entering into or imposing and enforcing any mitigation measure, so they can do anything they want. The government can do anything they want. If they say this Jimmy Dore's a threat, they can now do anything.
They can take your house. They could do like a government forfeiture.
They can lock you up without a trial.
Yep.
Because Barack Obama repealed habeas corpus, so that all they have to do is say you're a terrorist, and then they can lock you up without a trial. It's called indefinite detention. So they're imposing and enforcing any mitigation measure to address any risk arising from any covered transaction by any person or with respect to any property subject to the jurisdiction of the United States that the Secretary determines. This is mental. This is where we are now, right? And desktop applications, mobile applications, gaming applications, payment applications, or web-based applications, or information and communication technology products or services integral to artificial intelligence and machine learning. Software, hardware, or any other product or service integral to the telecommunicating product service, including wireless, local area networks, mobile networks, satellite. This is what they're going to have complete access to in the dark, by the way. You don't get to look at what they're doing. Satellite operations, cable access points, wireless access points, core networking systems, long, short, and what? Backpan networks? Backhaul. I don't know what that is. Edge computer platform. That sounds sexual. Quantum key distribution. So all this crazy stuff. E-commerce technology and service, including any electronic techniques for accomplishing business transaction. So this is crazy. This is anything you get to do, the government gets to do in the dark, shut it down and lock you up for it. Greg, our man Greg Price comes back and says, believe it or not, it gets even worse. If they find you in violation, they can put you in jail for 20 years, fine you $1 million, and seize your property. They can also deem any foreign government an adversary without informing Congress.
Wait,
And everything they do is in the dark. You can't get a freedom of information request.
So wait.
So let's put it this way. Let's say Iranian TV wants me to go on, right?
I guess
That would be that. And then they can say, oh, they're hostile, and you were going to use the TV to do something hostile that's bad for the U.S. government. So now we can access everything Jimmy Dore has on his computer, every phone call, every text, every app on his phone, and everything we get access to. All they have to do is say Jimmy Dore is using the internet to hurt America, U.S. government, by going on television in Iran. That's it.
So I mean,
and who decides this? The secretary. Nobody. There isn't a court. There, you don't get to. Just one person. Go ahead.
Like right now, I assume they're just spying on everybody whenever they want. So is the difference here that how easily they can just put you away as opposed to?
I think so. I think this is just making sure there'll be absolutely the people who do this in government, who do this to you, can't be prosecuted. And that's, I think, what this is for.
I mean, it seems way even like worse than the Patriot Act.
It's way worse, it seems. If this was about banning TikTok, they would pass a bill that simply bans TikTok. But the Uniparty is trying to create the same system of domestic spying they did after 9/11 for the internet, but on steroids. And then he gives a shout out to the LP Mrs. Caucus. I think that's the Libertarian Party caucus. The bill was introduced by Senator Mark Warner from Virginia. Here's a list of all the people co-sponsoring it. Basically runs the table of the worst members of the DC Uniparty. So there's, oh my God, okay. It's Tim Kaine, of course. Richard Blumenthal, Democrat. Where else? Hickenlooper, Democrat. Tillis, Republican. Lindsey Graham.
Of course. Well, I assumed him. I'm surprised he's not higher on the list.
Lindsey Graham. You want to know why that's interesting? Because Lindsey Graham went on television. Where the fuck is it? Here it is. Lindsey Graham went on television.
What?
Watch this.
We don't like TikTok. We don't want TikTok because the Chinese use it to spy on us and rewire our brains. But we don't want the government spying on us either. Did the United States Senate just say we're going to protect you from China by spying on you?
Yeah.
Let's try to get some answers out of the Senator Lindsey Graham, who supports this and is here now. You got to be kidding me, Senator. Did you read this?
Yeah, I don't think I support the Restrict Act.
Ha! So now he plays dumb. That's how he gets out of this. He plays dumb, Kurt. This is how he gets out of it.
You don't support this because you were named as one of the supporters, because this is garbage.
Well, is this the one with John? There's two bills out there. One allows a review of businesses that are connected to China, give the secretary the ability to protect their data. Is that the Restrict Act?
We got S-686 right here, March 7th.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a bunch of Republicans supporting it because this thing is crazy town. You don't want the government looking into your private phone.
No, I don't.
If they have a hunch you're colluding with the Russians, we remember how that turned out.
Right. Yeah, no, well, the Constitution trumps a statute. So let me come back and, give you a better explanation. Here's the problem as I see it.
Wait, you don't know about, he's not sure which one this is?
Yes.
The guy who's a senator?
Yeah. The guy who supports this bill.
I don't know. Which one was that again?
I'll come back later to let you know.
Let's say he's sincere.
The thing that's going to fucking turn us into a third world dictatorship. You know that one?
Like
that bill.
If he doesn't know, that's even worse than if he does know.
Is this the one with the business, or is this the one that takes away all our rights forever and turns us into a dictatorship? Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll come back. I'm not sure if I'm on board with that one.
I don't know if I'd support that.
I don't know if I'd support that thing.
Oh my God.
And so I guess we'll let him finish.
It's the parent company of TikTok, and my nieces like TikTok. I don't mind them using TikTok. I just don't want the Chinese government to seize all their data and manipulate the information America sees
And the best way to do that is to make sure the government can spy on you in the dark, and you can never, ever redress the government. And then we can just lock you up forever, fine you millions of dollars, invade your privacy. It's all over.
What are they going to get from his niece's information, by the way?
I know. I don't want them selling that information.
What are they going to get that they don't get, like, way more from, say, Mitch McConnell and his Chinese wife, who's an heiress to a Chinese plutocrat?
Is she?
Like, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
For political purposes, China is helping drug cartels in Mexico.
Oh, China
is not a friend. Chinese espionage is an all-time high against American business
Oh,
interests.
yeah.
So I want to push back against China, but within a constitutional framework. You're right about that. So you made these allegations, and I'll come answer better next time.
Well, I mean, because on Congress.gov, you're listed.
What?
I'll come answer better next time on whether I give a shit about freedom, liberty, for Bill of Rights, anything.
How about how TikTok's not mentioned in it? Like, why are you even talking about China? There's nothing about China in this bill.
One of the co-sponsors of this thing. Maybe it's like Fetterman when your chief of staff does all your work for you. But Senator, you got to.
He's like, hey, you're a co-sponsor of this. Did he just say that?
Go back. Congress.gov, you're listed as one of the co-sponsors of this thing. Maybe it's like Fetterman when you're.
So what's happening here is he's letting him off the hook. Actually, he's like, you're listed as a co-sponsor, but maybe this is happening. He gives him an out. Watch.
The staff does all your work for you. But Senator, you got to go back and talk to these other senators about this. Yeah. This thing is nuts. And it's going to get abused like it always does.
So he's acting like Lindsey Graham's on our side. You got to go back and talk to them. No, he's one of them. He's one of them. He's for this, Jesse. He's not against it. He's a co-sponsor. You know what that means. That's why you brought it up. Why would you bring it up and then immediately lessen the importance of what you just brought up? You got him. You got this guy dead to rights.
Maybe your assistant does all the work on a thing like this,
right?
That's not a better answer than
that's worse.
That's like
so now you're taking away everyone's rights and you're letting the government spy on us illegally, and you don't know you're doing that.
Oh gosh, that's not away all your rights on this earth. Well, my niece use TikTok.
So I'll give a tip of the hat to Jesse Waters for bringing it up.
Yeah.
And being on the right side of the issue on this one. I wish he would have actually held his feet to the fire.
We should have Jon Stewart punk out on this one.
He kind of did Jon Stewart it out on this one. But there's more to this story. So let me go back. I had it set up in a different way. So here's CNN actually is against. Watch this. This is the guy who introduced this bill. It's Senator Mark Warner. And CNN actually pushes back. Watch.
Chinese law trumps anything that the corporate management wants to do. And I would point out one other thing that I think will hopefully make the point. President Xi and the Chinese leadership have said, they would rather get rid of TikTok in America than give up the source code, the magic formula that resides in Beijing, if food divestiture, part of the requirement was that source code had to be located in America.
What? The magic. So they don't want to give you the trade secrets of this company. Give us your source code. Are you joking?
Give us your trade secrets. And anyway, here we go. So now listen to what CNN says.
There's two points of fact here, Senator, and I think a lot of people share your concerns, but our Brian Fung did a great fact check just on what we actually know versus the fears that are laid out. There is no public evidence that the Chinese government has actually spied on people through TikTok. There was that surveillance of journalists, which was very troubling. They were fired. Terrible that happened. But also to date, no public evidence that Beijing has harvested TikTok's commercial data for intelligence or other purposes. I just wonder if you have any fear about choking something off that helps a lot of creators. Let me just finish the question. Choking something off that means a lot to a lot of creators and small businesses and is a source of revenue for them in that way before these worst fears are realized. I've read through your Restrict Act. I know what it does, but just respond to that concern.
What?
So what she's saying is None of this stuff that you claim is going to happen has happened. Shouldn't we wait for something bad to happen that you're claiming is going to happen before we do all this restrictive legislation? Shouldn't we wait to see the real world consequence? I mean, nothing has happened. So that's what she's saying, right? Am I wrong about that's what she just said?
No, that's correct. But I read through this. All I've got to say is, what about the TikTok creator? By the way, that's bad. A whole bunch of people's business shouldn't just get wiped. I hope if they do this horrible thing, that'll cause enough anger because of that. Didn't mention the other horrifying parts at all.
No, she has no.
Her great fact checker didn't bring it up.
That's right.
She's worried about like some TikTok creators that tell you about gender aren't going to get on. That's your main concern.
So let's see what he says.
Sure. Let me do it in reverse order. First of all, there's a lot of creative stuff on TikTok. We've seen the influencers; they make their living off.
I like how he puts a nice little smile. Hey, I love TikTok. We're not doing bad stuff. Everybody likes TikTok. It's just going to be nice, and we're going to make everyone a peanut butter sandwich and go to sleep. It's not. This isn't horrific Orwellian spying by the government and taking every last scrap of freedom you have in cyberspace away. I like TikTok. You like TikTok. We're just going to make it nicer.
This guy's dumb looking face ain't helping either.
This. And frankly, there are other American sites, YouTube and others, my understanding at least, reimburse at a higher level. I absolutely believe in the market. If TikTok were somehow...
So he's saying, I believe in the market. So what he's saying is, meaning if the government steps in and takes away a product, the market will make another product. So you don't believe in the market because the government is taking away a product. If you believed in the market, you'd let the market take care of the market.
They've already proved they don't care about the market over and over again with all the other things that they did.
They don't care.
Oh my God.
This is about the CIA and the FBI and the NSA and the military-industrial complex wanting to have complete access to a surveillance state. That's what this is. This is 100% totalitarian surveillance state. And he gives a little smile and says how much he likes it. That's not a big deal.
I genuinely wonder, like, just how much of empty shell puppets these guys are. Where, like, did they not read anything in the bill themselves? Honestly, and it
was written by the CIA, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Up away tomorrow, whether it's an American company, a French company, an Indian company, there will be a replacement site where people can still be creative and earn that kind of living. I believe the market will provide that, number one.
After the government screws up the market.
On the question of no evidence, respectfully, we see press report after press report. And TikTok says, oh, I'm sorry, Chinese engineers got it.
Oh, we see no evidence? We look at the news reports after news reports that are bought by the military-industrial complex that creates these crazy news reports that say what we want them to say. It said that they have aluminum tubes. On the front page of the New York Times, we have to invade Iraq. The front page of the New York Times said aluminum tubes. We got to invade Iraq.
This time, Chinese engineers got it this another time. You've got, frankly, individuals who are whistleblowers coming out.
When he says, whenever a politician says frankly, they're lying. And that's the third time he said frankly. In this short little clip, he said frankly 3 times. I'm done listening to this guy. Let's move on. The bill gives the federal government the power to access and monitor any activity from suspected devices, virtual or otherwise, without telling anyone. This essentially gives them the power to spy on you without your knowledge or consent, monitoring you at all times. This includes routers, modems, online video games, streaming apps, social media, Ring cameras, and other home camera systems, smart thermostats, literally anything that makes use of the internet. The method by which this will be done is by the president appointing a secretary of communication who forms their own independent group without any votes or democratic selection, and that group can then make decisions behind closed doors without disclosing anything whatsoever. Decisions banning whatever they deem to be inappropriate or threatening content or otherwise deemed to a threat to national security at any time without disclosure or voter input. And remember, accessing said content would be a crime under this bill. This is law enforcement in the dark. This is Gestapo shit. If this is KGB shit, if this passes, they can go through your text messages, your emails, your Snapchat, your Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and private messages on any other social media, anything that uses the internet, and they can censor it, and they can prosecute anyone who disobeys these restrictions. In summation, this bill effectively bans anything at all the government deems inappropriate for whatever reason, very fast, without warning, and without voter input, and further allows the government to spy on you directly through anything that makes use of the internet 24/7.
Oh my God.
Everyone should be thoroughly invested in shooting this bill down, as it could result in the breaking up of mass communications methods, the targeted suppression of minority groups, the immediate quashing of dissent in any form, wherever it may be, and a true totalitarian state. So this is what I was telling people, that they always say, oh, censorship on Twitter and Facebook is there to protect minority groups. It is not, you fucking chump.
I think they meant the power elite, the tiniest minority.
Yeah, the tiniest minority. It's always going to be used to suppress and silence minority groups, black and brown people, anybody who's not in the establishment. That's who they're going to censor, because those are the people who need to speak up against the establishment the most. This isn't to say. So if you want more censorship, you're against minority communities. That's the irony. And of course, the Democratic Party is for censorship because they're against minority communities. Barack Obama was president for 8 years, did fucking zilch for black and brown communities. Nothing. Their lives got worse. Go to jimmydore.com to see my new stand-up special, COVID Lies Are Funny. For only $10, you get to become a premium member too. And come see us do our live shows. We're going to be doing stand-up comedy in Milwaukee, Nashville, Honolulu, Los Angeles, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, New York, Cohoes, New York, Hartford, Connecticut, Baltimore, Maryland, and more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.